I Think We're Alone Now is a 2008 documentary directed by Sean Donnelly that focuses on two individuals, Jeff Turner and Kelly McCormick, who claim to be in love with the 80s pop singer Tiffany. Jeff Turner, a 50-year-old man from Santa Cruz, California, has attended Tiffany's concerts since 1988. Diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, he's always had a difficult time developing relationships with women. Kelly McCormick is a 38-year-old hermaphrodite from Denver, Colorado, who claims to have been friends with Tiffany as a teenager. She credits Tiffany as the shining star who has motivated her to do everything in her life. Both Jeff and Kelly have been labeled stalkers by the media and other Tiffany fans. This film takes you inside the lonely lives of these two characters, revealing the source of their clinging obsessions. Now, I recently watched this documentary on a free YouTube video, which I'll provide the link to in the description below, and I really liked it. And I liked how we got to see these two people's lives and how the documentary just sort of allows us to come to our own conclusions about these stalkers and how we feel about them. And it never sort of condones their behavior and never really sort of downplays their kind of stalking, but it really allows us to kind of see why they do this and why they behave in this way. Starting off with Kelly McCormick, who seems to be a really disturbed individual that might be suffering from some sort of psychosis, as she doesn't have a firm grip on reality as the documentary goes on, and you begin to pity her life. I remember there's a scene in the movie where we're in her apartment and you see pictures of Tiffany just plastered across her wall, and how she continues to say that Tiffany has sort of motivated her in her life and sort of uplifted her and kept her going throughout her life and through all the bad times that she's gone through. And I am sort of more sympathetic towards Kelly rather than Jeff Turner, who I will talk about in a minute, because Kelly seems to be really suffering from a severe form of mental illness, and you can tell that she grew up in a very bad environment. She probably was discriminated against horribly because of the fact that she's intersex or because she's a hermaphrodite, and that she's had to live a life of complete isolation and loneliness. And it's, I'm more sympathetic towards her because also in the documentary, and this is sort of a spoiler, by the end of it we see her progress and we see her grow as a person, and she sort of develops friendships and begins to lose her obsession with Tiffany, and we kind of see her progress. And that's where I feel like in the documentary I can't really go. While I understand that her actions are pretty awful of stalking another person, I do kind of understand her case rather than with Jeff's case. And I hope that we one day get a follow-up documentary or a follow-up video talking about her situation and whether or not she's progressed or improved in her life. Now, Jeff Turner, on the other hand, is more of the focus of the documentary. I mean, he's on the cover of the documentary, as he's this kind of interesting and annoying character, to be honest with you, he's the type of guy who really wants to talk about Tiffany all the time to anybody and try to convince anyone he can that he's best friends with her and that they have developed a relationship. And the thing about him in comparison to Kelly is that he's more persistent in his obsessions. He's willing to go to all the concerts, all the events, all the signings, all the appearances, and really is just basically obnoxious in a way that he's constantly bothering these types of celebrities. In the documentary, we actually learn that he's not just obsessed with Tiffany, he's also obsessed with another celebrity called Alyssa Milano. And I remember watching a separate video about him where he actually got onto the private property of Alyssa Milano's estate, and he had the cops called on him, and she had to set up a restraining order against him. And this was the same as with Tiffany. He's been very much pursuing Tiffany since she was 16, or I believe it was like 15 or 16 years old. So he's been doing this for years, constantly. And the difference between that, besides the persistence, the difference between him and Kelly is that I really don't see any sort of improvement with his character. I don't really see him growing out of his obsession. He's been doing it so long and been so persistent about it that he's really just stuck in his own ways. And also, he's not really that much of a threat, as he's more of an annoyance. I remember there's a separate video where Tiffany was actually interviewed, and we learned that she has actually dealt with Jeff Turner for so long and realized that he's not really that much of a threat, but just sort of mentally challenged in a way that she's had to just gotta put up with him, because he's always going to be at her events, always going to be at her concerts, and her bodyguards don't see him as a threat, as he's just there all the time. And that's what's sort of interesting about Jeff Turner's case, is that, again, he's just a weird character that won't stop doing this. He's also got these other weird obsessions. He's into conspiracy theories. He's into radionics, which I believe is alternative medicine. And throughout the documentary, we learn about his sort of friendships with other people, and that he just won't just stop talking all the time about his obsessions. That's all he can do, is just talk, and more talking. The documentary is directed pretty well by Sean Donnelly. I think he did a really spectacular job of really covering these two individuals without us having to, without us having to sort of, I guess, in a way, sympathize with them too much. Now, I do sympathize with Kelly McCormick, but I don't really sympathize that much with Jeff Turner as a person, because I don't see him ever sort of growing out of what he's doing. And Sean Donnelly kind of focuses on that. He just allows them be who they are, and you have to come to your own conclusion. And that's what I love about the documentary. It's pretty great in that way. Because it was made in 2008, like I stated, I hope we get a follow-up documentary or a follow-up video where we kind of see their lives now versus back in 2008, and see what happened to them. I mean, I hope that Kelly has improved her life, and I hope in some way, maybe I'm wrong about Jeff, I hope he's improved his as well. And I just highly recommend this documentary. It's not too long. I think it's about a little bit over an hour, but I highly recommend it, as I left a link to the video, which I hope will be there if you guys click on it, and I hope it still exists, so you guys can enjoy it and watch it for yourself. If I would give this documentary a rating, I would say I would give it like an 82 or an 83%. It's pretty darn good. I really like it. And I think y'all will like it too, and I highly recommend it to anybody who would want to watch it, who are interested in these types of documentaries about these weird characters. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review of the documentary, and please watch it. And thank you for watching my video. Please like and subscribe if you want to. And like always, have a wonderful day.